Well, hello again, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about chromaticism. There'll be a couple of videos on this. This first one has to do with applying chromaticism to sequences and to voice exchanges. So we'll start with the first four bars here. You see a pretty straight ahead 7/6 sequence. This is adapted from a Handel chaconne. Let's just listen to those first four bars. Let's make sure we got volume here. Right, so those first four bars show a pretty straight ahead 7/6 sequence. Notice how the 7/6 is between the bass and the tenor. Was a 5/6 expanded outward, then we have 7/6, and then as that 7 resolves down to a 6, it's suspended across, becomes a 7th that resolves downward. It becomes a chordal 7th here that resolves downward to create the third of the chord. Now, what Handel did, and what I've done in this reduction, is to just add some chromaticism to it to make it a little more interesting. And that's essentially what's happening. So instead of a straight ahead from G to F, we go through the F sharp to give it a little bit of flavoring. Let's give that a listen. This is essentially what is happening here. We are dressing up diatonic sequences with chromaticism. Doesn't change the fact that it's still 7/6. We look at it, F sharp to E flat is a diminished 7th, but it is still a 7th. F to D is a major 6th. So the second 2/3 of this bar are identical to the second 2/3 of this bar. But doesn't change the basic structure. Same here when we go to E natural. It still creates a 7th. A different type of 7th, a minor 7th as opposed to the major 7th that was here. Down to C sharp creates a major 6th. Then we plane down to another major 6th. And then our chordal 7th still resolves to a third of the chordal. In this case, it would be then a 5/7 of 4. Listen to both of them in context, one after the other, so you can hear the differences. That's essentially what we mean when we talk about chromatic sequences. It's simply taking a diatonic sequence and adding some chromaticism to it. Why do we do that? Why would we ever add chromaticism to anything? Because it's more interesting. And if you look at this bass line here, this is a simple descending tetrachord hit the road jack kind of boom, 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 boom. We know that standard descending bass covering from the tonic to the dominant space of a fourth. Here we've added the entirety of the chromatic scale between the tonic and the lower dominant. La, si, sol, mi, fa, fi. Sorry, let me try that again. It's been a long weekend. La, si, sol, fi, fa, sol. So we have the complete chromatic scale built in. It adds a little more tension. It adds a little more oomph to the downward motion to the dominance. When you hit that point, there's a lot of energy that's been built up and is then released at that moment. So that's basically chromatic sequences. If you look down here, we have a pretty straight ahead voice exchange going, and those first three beats here sound something like this. Notice we're in the key of F. This is going from 1 to 1/6 if we're keeping score at the home game. Can't do the superscripts on the fly here, so it looks something like this. I guess I could do this. Superscript to normal. Okay. So if you look at this, and let me play it for you here. That's all it is, really. We seem to have lost the letters. I'm not sure what happened here. Not sure what happened to the letters. Well, we'll put them back in. Let's redo that measure, delete, and get them back here. We can put them back in here real quick. But it's essentially just a voice exchange. This allows me to correct that too, since we know we're in F. So we're just basically dealing with a voice exchange with the 5/6/4 here. And we've seen this 1,000 times. This 5/6/4 chord would also be referred to as what? That's right. Sometimes we might see this as the passing 6/4. So the passing 6/4 there facilitates the voice exchange. Notice how the soprano and the bass move from, say, soprano from mi down to do, and the bass up from do to mi. The tenor holds the common tone, the alto steps down, and then doubles unison. Well, there are two types of what we call chromatic voice exchanges. The first one here, in the thing marked as bar 10, just basically takes that space and fills it in with chromatic passing tones. Now notice I use sharps for ascending and flats for descending, as you do. Let's listen to bar 10 here. It's a little crunchier, but it creates some interesting intervals along the way, but it essentially is the same Roman numeral, same chord structure as what we have here. We've just added in chromatic passing tones. Now compare and contrast that to this last one, where something really interesting happens. Let's listen to bar 11. This is the other type of chromatic voice exchange. Now, oops, sorry, hit the wrong button here. When that happens, we say that it's still a chromatic voice exchange, but now what makes it chromatic is the fact that one of the exchange pitches is a chromatic version of the original. In this case, this was A natural, it becomes A flat here, but the motion is the same. And we could have easily dressed it up something similar to this as well, with its own chromatic interplays as well. So this is the two types of chromatic voice exchange we deal with. These are the two types. One where we just fill in the gap of regular voice exchange with chromatic pitches, and one where one of the pitches itself is chromatically altered. In this case, the third of the chord goes from a major third, F to A, to a minor third, F to A flat. That's a very common move. The opposite you could do, start with the minor chord here and go to the major chord here, but this seems to be the more common one, I think, because it opens up more modulatory possibilities, which is something we'll discuss in the next chapter. Later on this week, I hope to put up the next of these little videos about common tone diminished seventh and common tone augmented sixth chords, and I think you'll enjoy that as well. In the meantime, if you have any questions, please track me down. I'm happy to answer them. Hope everyone had a good fall break, and we'll see you in class. Have a great day.